To the NBA we go now. Lakers. He did not play in the fourth.
In the West, you ain't beating any of those three teams. Not if you're the Los Angeles Lakers. By and large, everybody believes that. And so that's where their problem comes, particularly when you talk about the likes. Denver has depth and they have Jokic. But San Antonio has that eraser in Wembanyama, and OKC has a collective eraser because everybody on that squad plays defense and they come for you. So the Lakers don't really stand a chance. That's why you're looking at them and you're saying they're in dire straits. If they were the fourth or fifth seed and you had an opportunity to avoid one of those three teams in the first round, although you still probably would be at a deficit because you likely probably have to go against Houston, okay? The bottom line is somebody would give you a better chance because Houston's got issues at the point guard spot and they struggle in the fourth quarter turning the damn ball over like they did 9 times against the New York Knicks on Saturday. But the likelihood is San Antonio, Denver, or OKC. And that's why we're looking at the Lakers and saying things seem a bit daunting.
Right, and listen, Houston's issue to me, and I watched that whole game on Saturday, is that they only have Durant who can score. In big games, Durant's going to score. And if Durant has a bad shooting day, as he did in the fourth quarter against the Knicks, they're going to lose. Because they showed it last year against Golden State. They couldn't throw the ball in the ocean in big spots against the Warriors. So they bring Durant in, who's one of the all-timers. We all love him. Great. And when he's on, he scores his 35 points. They can win. But there is a limit of what they can do offensively against a good team in a big spot in the fourth quarter. That's the problem I have with Houston, myself.
Well, you should have that problem with Houston, but you got to remember, Doggy, they went to the playoffs last year. They gave the Warriors a run for their money. They didn't have a number one offensive option. Right. They do now. And the likelihood is that when you talk about Durant struggling, let's be very, very clear. We don't expect him to struggle, but so much. This is a career 27-point-per-game scorer, a 50-40, close to 90 guy because he shoots about 88% from the free throw line. The brother's automatic. And so you're not really anticipating it, or rather, if you are anticipating and hanging your hat on Kevin Durant struggling to score the ball, good luck.
You need
because that ain't going to happen often.
Steve, you need 2 guys. Murray and Jokic, you need 2 guys. Tatum and Brown, you need 2 guys.
To win a championship, not necessarily to win a first-round series, though.
Well, they're going to be playing a pretty decent team in that first round. They're going to be playing. They might be playing a decent team. They could play the Timberwolves. They could lose that series.
Well, who was the second? Well, who was the bona fide second option on Minnesota? Even though Julius Randle can score, he wasn't considered like a prolific scorer and stuff like that. But the Minnesota Timberwolves were in the Western Conference Finals. You can make some noise in the playoffs where you can start 4 dudes 6'11" and above, especially if Kevin Durant is your number one option. I'm not saying it's automatic, but you certainly can pull it off. I can't sleep on Houston when it comes to that.
All right, down the stretch here will be interesting. Do you have a final word, Wendy, on this situation with the Lakers? Go ahead.
Here's the bottom line. These 3 guys don't fit together. They're not working. Next year, they're probably only going to have Luka and Austin Reeves. And yesterday, Lon Rosen, who is their brand new head of basketball business operations, said that Rob Pelinka is, and this is not a surprise, but Rob Pelinka is going to remain in that seat and be the general manager. So it's now on Rob Pelinka to figure out how to use their cap space coming up this summer to reform around Luka, because this triumvirate, it's not working. It's just not.
It's not working. And another thing is when you talk about Lon Rosen, or obviously a longtime agent, a big time figure in NBA circles, in sports figures altogether, incredibly close to Magic Johnson, represented Magic Johnson for years. Very, very close to Jeannie Buss.
Austin came out with 5 minutes. LeBron got to sit the whole game. He got a chance to rest. That's key. And then you got guys to be able to build a rhythm. Luka Kennard getting some looks. Obviously, Luka was unbelievable from start to finish. But Austin, more importantly than anybody, he's the guy that you want to find or see find his rhythm back. Yeah. So, and then others, we said Marcus Smart, Rui, they're all kind of, fitting in or finding themselves and building more confidence. So you got a chance to rest and relax a little, but also build some confidence and get one of those games that is very much needed and a win.
Yeah, shout out to Luka Kennard. He continued his strong play. I do want to start with Luka, though, guys. He only played 3 quarters, but it's his 10th 40-point game this season. 4th Laker with 10 40-plus games in a season with 19 games left. And, James, that first quarter, Luka's 5 for 5 from 3 with 22 points, and he ends up with 44, 9, and 5. Efficient night for Luka.
He set the tone. He set the tone at home. He's an excellent offensive player, and he will take advantage of what the defense gives him. Usually, if he doesn't see a double team coming, and it's just one-on-one, he's going to try to take advantage of that. And I thought tonight he just really played a full game outside, getting to the cup and, dropping some dimes, just leading the way for his teammates.
I'd like to imagine he'd have a lot more numbers on that list. This is only his first full season with the Lakers.
Yeah.
And he's on that list with, some unbelievable names.
Crazy.
So if he gets a couple more seasons and he plays what we expect him to, like another 10, he might be leading the pack there. But again, he's getting 30 in his sleep. And when he's got the 3-ball going, it's 40. You can count it and making free throws. So, and he did it in 3 quarters tonight, which was unbelievable. Hitting bank shots, doing it all. But I said I love what he did last night in Denver, where he's moving the ball. Even tonight, kind of getting guys involved. Yeah. And then also give himself a chance to rest. Like he earned that quarter off by getting 44 in 3 quarters.
Danny, it's something JJ said to Mike Trudell at halftime. In that second quarter, when the Lakers started to separate, and you saw the pressure come off a little bit. Indiana's going hard at first, getting into the paint, keeping that game close. Luka's able to separate that game. When you're on a team with a guy that can just go on a heater like that and can separate you, how much easier does the game become for everyone else?
I mean, I wouldn't say cakewalk, but it just becomes fun. It becomes like pickup and just guys that, like AAU days, just going out and doing some. You see Jackson Hayes getting dunks. You see other guys getting involved. Marcus Smart pointing to the crowd. So when your superstars got it going and you got a comfortable lead, and at any given moment they can turn it on when they want to, you always have a chance to win, even when it's close. But when it's not close and they're playing like that, it's one of those nights where everybody gets a chance to kind of eat.
Yeah, especially when you got a guy like this who can just, get baskets, when he wants, at will. I think it improves your defense. I think guys say, okay, we got this guy, he's hot. It makes you want to go and, play a little bit better defense, get it back to him. He's a heater. But, when you got a guy like Luka, man, there's guys in the league that can get it done. Durant's, obviously, Steph Curry. But this guy, he just night in and night. I mean, he makes it look really easy. Yeah. He makes it look really easy.
Does it at his own pace, and nobody speeds him up.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, he's comfortable.
I want to show you guys the Western Conference standings just 24 hours after dropping the game to Denver and falling back a game and a half. Heartbreaking fashion. The Lakers pick up a game on the Nuggets. Remember, they had a back-to-back at home. They got blown out at home by the Knicks by 40. And unfortunately, Jamal Murray exited the game after 18 minutes with an ankle injury. Don't know the severity of that, but the Lakers taking advantage of a bad Pacers team. So they're now 38-25, just a half game behind the Nuggets, a couple of games behind the T-Wolves, who they will see on Tuesday. But first, the New York Knicks, red hot, obviously, after that Denver game, coming into town on Sunday. But that Western Conference, and Danny, we talk a lot about it on our shows here. It's going to be moving every single night, 19 games left in the season. It's fun to watch the scoreboard as well.
Absolutely. It's going to come down to the last week or two. But I feel like there's been a lot of seasons where the races are close, but it's always up, changing and moving. At this point in the season, you got to focus on you. Focus on the bigger picture and getting better. Control your controllables, as they always say, and dictate your own destiny. If you take care of business and do what you're supposed to do, you're going to end up where you're supposed to be. And not worry about where Minnesota is, where Houston is, or Denver, or let's try to manipulate who we want to play in the first round. That's when the basketball gods will come to get you. If you just play basketball and play to win, and if they take care of business on these next 5 games and get 3 or 4 of the next 5 and win against those top 500 teams, they'll be placed at a pretty good position to where they might be able to get home court advantage if they continue to win out and play better basketball.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's in their control right now. They are in a good spot with the opportunity to move up. This next game, the biggest test of the year, maybe, with the Knicks coming in here. It's just at this time of the year. They've had some big games, but this time of the year, with the Knicks coming in and the way the Knicks are playing, as confident as they are, you're looking at a potential, Eastern Conference championship, perhaps. I don't want to get ahead of myself because Detroit and some other teams are out there. But this is a big game for the Lakers to test to see where they really are, playing against a really good team that's a playoff-bound team that's pretty solid in a lot of categories. They're going to be tested on Sunday.
Maybe this isn't a coincidence. Maybe it is. Rob Pelinka trades for Luka Kennard, one of the top three-point shooters in the league. And about 4 or 5 games ago, JJ wanted him to be a little more aggressive, get that volume up. But when you look at this Laker team, all of a sudden, they're a little more consistent from 3. They're on the rise since the All-Star break. And Danny, this is, starting to get a larger sample size. We're talking 9 games. They are shooting 41% from 3. Again tonight, 46%, 17 to 36.
Yeah, I mean, it's climbing 1% pretty much per game, it looks like, because before the game it was 40%, now they're 41. But that's what happens when you're having fun and you're moving the ball, and everybody's involved. You got a couple of games where you can build confidence and get some really good cushion and wins. But in that process, again, you're putting money in the bank. You're getting rest. You're getting guys involved. You're getting Marcus Smart confident. You're getting Luka Kennard. Now all we got to see is Jake LaRavia kind of get it back some. But everybody's getting good looks. Luka's shooting at a high clip. And again,
that's been huge.
Kind of struggled from three most of the year until after the All-Star break. After that injury, he's kind of refocused. Again, if we can get Austin Reeves and Jake LaRavia there, you know, sky's the limit of what this group can accomplish. But Luka Kennard, it seems as if adding him to the team has opened up the floor and made shooting for everybody that much better. And the group is shooting way better.
And James, on different nights, you can see 6, 7 different Lakers, 8 Lakers hit threes. There are guys that are capable of shooting threes. 6, 7.
Yeah, but you know,
it's tired now, right? 6, 7's out.
When the ball's moving. I mean, look, we're going to repeat this over and over. When it's moving,
Welcome back to another thrilling installment of Lakers Nation, where logic goes to die and hope springs eternal. The never-ending television drama that masquerades as professional basketball, but actually functions as an elaborate psychological study on the limits of human emotional endurance. Tonight's episode featured our beloved Los Angeles Lakers defeating the Indiana Pacers, 128-117, a scoreline that should have been cause for celebration, but somehow left most of us feeling like we'd just witnessed a magic trick where the magician successfully pulled a rabbit out of a hat, but accidentally set the theater on fire in the process. Here we are, deep into March 2026, still trying to decipher the hieroglyphics that constitute this Lakers season, still attempting to determine whether we're watching a championship contender disguised as a mediocre team or a mediocre team disguised as a championship contender. The Lakers just defeated a Pacers squad that has managed to lose 8 consecutive games since the All-Star break, turning what should have been a relaxing vacation into an extended nightmare that makes watching paint dry seem like an adrenaline-fueled adventure sport. But here's the beautiful madness of being a Lakers fan in 2026. Even when we win by 11 points against a team actively trying to lose basketball games, we somehow find ways to extract both euphoria and existential dread from the exact same 48 minutes of basketball. The Lakers shot 52.9% from the field and 45.9% from three-point range. Numbers that should make any basketball purist weep with joy. But we spent most of the evening wondering why it took us 3 quarters to put away a team whose season ended sometime around Thanksgiving. If you're still reading this instead of finally pursuing that career in competitive chess you've been considering since the Shaq and Kobe era, go ahead and hit that like button because we're all clearly addicted to this beautiful chaos, and there's absolutely no point pretending we're going to develop healthy coping mechanisms at this stage of our lives. The Lakers managed to secure this victory on the second night of a back-to-back situation, which in the modern NBA is roughly equivalent to asking someone to perform brain surgery immediately after completing a marathon while juggling flaming torches. The Indiana Pacers currently sit at 15-48, a record so impressively bad that it almost requires admiration for the sheer consistency of their inability to win basketball games. This is a franchise that has somehow perfected the art of snatching defeat from the jaws of victory so thoroughly that they've turned losing into performance art. What made this particular evening fascinating was watching Luka Doncic treat the entire concept of basketball competition like a casual pickup game at the local YMCA, where he happened to be the only person who remembered to bring actual basketball skills. The man dropped 44 points in 3 quarters, hitting 7 three-pointers with the kind of casual efficiency that suggests he was probably thinking about his dinner plans rather than focusing on the technical aspects of putting an orange ball through an elevated circular rim. Doncic scored 22 points in the first quarter alone, marking the 5th time this season he's managed to eclipse the 20-point threshold in an opening period. To put this achievement in proper perspective, no player has accomplished this feat more times in a single season in at least 30 years, which means Luka is literally rewriting the record books, while the rest of us are still trying to figure out whether we should be impressed or concerned that he makes elite professional basketball look like he's playing against middle schoolers. The most remarkable aspect of Luka's performance was how effortless everything appeared, as if he'd discovered some secret cheat code that allows him to manipulate the fundamental laws of basketball physics. He capped off his scoring barrage by banking in his 7th three-pointer late in the 3rd quarter. The kind of shot that would be considered lucky if attempted by mere mortals, but somehow seemed inevitable when executed by someone operating on Doncic's level of basketball consciousness. Thinking about it, there's something almost unfair about watching Luka operate when he's completely locked in like this. The man finished 14 of 25 from the field while grabbing 9 rebounds and making the entire Indiana defense look like they were participating in some elaborate interpretive dance rather than attempting to guard a basketball player. His casual dominance raised the obvious question: if he can do this against NBA competition while apparently exerting minimal effort, what exactly would it look like if he decided to really try hard? The absence of LeBron James due to a combination of elbow and foot issues created an opportunity for other players to step up and demonstrate their capabilities, but it also highlighted just how much this Lakers team has come to rely on having multiple superstars available to function at their highest competitive level. James sustained his left elbow contusion during Thursday's loss to Denver after taking a hard fall in the 4th quarter, and while he was initially able to return to the game, the discomfort clearly affected his ability to finish the contest effectively. LeBron's expected return for Sunday's matchup against the New York Knicks means the Lakers will have exactly 24 hours to figure out how to reintegrate him into the rotation after watching Doncic carry the entire offensive burden. For an evening, the challenge becomes determining how to distribute touches, decision-making responsibilities, and leadership duties between two players who are accustomed to being the primary focal point of their team's offensive approach. I believe the most encouraging aspect of Friday's performance was watching how effectively the Lakers actually extended their lead during the 4th quarter without their primary offensive weapon on the court. Too often this season, we've witnessed Los Angeles struggle to maintain advantages when their best players take scheduled rest periods. But this particular evening showcased glimpses of the kind of organizational depth that championship teams rely on during crucial stretches of important games. The Lakers outscored Indiana 29-28 in the final quarter despite Doncic spending the entire 12 minutes on the bench, which suggests that the supporting cast may finally be developing the confidence and chemistry necessary to contribute meaningful production when called upon. This kind of collective responsibility becomes increasingly important as teams navigate the heightened pressure and intensity of playoff basketball, where role players often determine the difference between advancing and going home. Marcus Smart celebrated his 32nd birthday during the victory, contributing 11 points while providing the kind of veteran leadership and defensive intensity that has become increasingly valuable as this season has progressed. Smart's ability to guard multiple positions effectively and make winning plays in crucial moments has helped stabilize a defense that continues to struggle with consistency and communication issues throughout different stretches of games. The value of Smart's contributions extends well beyond traditional statistical categories to encompass the kind of intangible qualities that championship teams absolutely require from their role players. His willingness to take charges, communicate effectively on defensive rotations, and make the extra pass on offense creates positive ripple effects that improve the entire team's performance in ways that don't always appear prominently in post-game box scores. Smart's presence allows the Lakers to experiment with different defensive schemes and provides crucial insurance against the mental lapses and focus issues that have plagued this team throughout various points of the season. His experience in high-pressure situations and understanding of what it takes to win meaningful games makes him exactly the kind of veteran presence that young teams need to develop winning habits and mental toughness. Luke Kennard continued his steady integration into the Lakers' offensive system with 15 points and 7 rebounds, shooting an efficient 3 of 5 from beyond the arc and looking increasingly comfortable within J.J. Redick's tactical schemes. Since arriving from Atlanta at the trade deadline, Kennard has provided exactly the kind of reliable three-point shooting that this roster desperately needed to address its most glaring weakness. The Lakers currently rank 28th in three-point shooting percentage, which creates significant mathematical disadvantages that become increasingly problematic when facing elite competition that can consistently make shots from beyond the arc. Kennard's arrival has helped address this deficiency, but the broader challenge of finding consistent floor spacing remains a work in progress that will likely require additional attention during the upcoming offseason. Kennard's 15 points might not immediately jump off the statistical sheet, but his ability to space the floor effectively and convert open opportunities has created additional breathing room for Doncic and others to operate more freely within their natural skill sets. The fascinating aspect of Kennard's role is how it demonstrates the crucial importance of having players who clearly understand their specific function within a team concept and execute that function without requiring constant validation or expanded responsibilities. He's not attempting to create offense independently or transform himself into a primary scoring option, but rather focusing on being available when opportunities naturally present themselves and converting those chances at an efficient rate that helps the entire team function more effectively. This kind of role clarity and acceptance becomes increasingly important as teams navigate the pressure and intensity of meaningful games during crucial stretches of the season. The Lakers' improvement in three-point shooting since Kennard's arrival has been noticeable, though they still lack the kind of consistent floor spacing that championship contenders typically possess throughout their entire rotation. Finding additional shooters who can also contribute defensively and fit within the salary cap constraints that will limit the Lakers' flexibility this summer represents one of the organization's most pressing challenges. Austin Reeves struggled through the first 3 quarters before finally finding his offensive rhythm late in the contest, ultimately finishing with 19 points before fouling out for only the second time in his career, with 4:58 remaining in the fourth quarter. The fouling out was particularly frustrating because it occurred precisely at the moment when the Lakers were putting the game away definitively and Reeves was finally starting to look comfortable and aggressive offensively. His struggles during the early portions of the game continued a concerning trend that has persisted throughout his return from injury, raising legitimate questions about whether he's fully recovered physically or still working his way back to his previous level of production and confidence. Earlier in the season, Reeves was playing with the kind of aggressive confidence and decision-making that made him appear to be a legitimate all-star candidate. But lately, he seemed more hesitant and less decisive during crucial moments. Watching Reeves navigate this challenging adjustment period has been particularly illuminating because it's highlighted just how difficult it can be for players to recapture their natural rhythm and flow after missing extended periods of time due to injury. The mental aspect of returning from injury often proves more challenging than the physical recovery, as players sometimes struggle to trust their bodies and instincts in the same way they did before the injury occurred. The financial implications of Reeves' current performance level cannot be ignored, as his next contract extension will likely depend heavily on his ability to return to his early season form during the final stretch of the regular season and, hopefully, a deep playoff run. Teams pay premium prices for players who can perform consistently in high-pressure situations, and Reeves' recent struggles have raised questions about his ability to deliver that kind of reliable production. I believe Reeves possesses the talent and basketball intelligence to work through this temporary rough patch. But the urgency of competing for championships while LeBron James remains effective creates additional pressure to find solutions quickly, rather than allowing for extended development periods. The Lakers need Reeves to be a reliable third scoring option, and his inconsistency has forced other players to assume responsibilities they may not be ideally suited to handle. Jackson Hayes drew another start due to DeAndre Aton's continued absence with left knee soreness, and once again demonstrated exactly why this center rotation has evolved into such a compelling and divisive storyline throughout this entire season. Hayes brings a level of energy, athleticism, and genuine enthusiasm that simply isn't available when Ayton occupies the center position. But he also lacks the superior size, skill set, and theoretical ceiling that Ayton provides when he's fully engaged and healthy. The statistical comparison between Hayes and Ayton continues to favor the younger, less experienced player in terms of impact metrics, energy level, and overall team performance when he's on the court. Hayes has posted a remarkable plus 72 rating for the season, compared to Ayton's concerning minus 58 figure, creating a mathematical argument that's difficult to ignore regardless of salary considerations, draft pedigree, or theoretical potential. Hayes finished Friday's game with solid production across multiple statistical categories, while playing with the kind of visible passion and competitive drive that makes teammates want to run through walls for each other. His approach to basketball embodies the concept that effort and energy can sometimes overcome pure talent, especially when that talent isn't consistently applied with maximum intensity. The challenge for JJ Redick becomes determining which version of center production best serves the team's immediate needs versus long-term development goals. Do you prioritize the consistent energy and effort that Hayes provides on a nightly basis, or do you continue investing in the superior talent and upside that Ayton theoretically represents when everything is working according to plan? Both approaches possess legitimate merit, but the urgency of competing for championships while LeBron James remains capable of elite production creates natural pressure to prioritize immediate impact over theoretical potential. Championship windows in professional sports are notoriously brief and unpredictable, making it crucial to maximize every available opportunity, rather than hoping that underperforming players will eventually reach their ceiling. I believe the Hayes versus Ayton debate represents a fascinating microcosm of broader questions about how modern NBA teams should prioritize different types of production and value. The traditional approach would suggest that Ayton's superior size, skill set, and draft position make him the obvious choice. But the contemporary emphasis on analytics and measurable impact creates a compelling argument for Hayes despite his obvious limitations. DeAndre Aton's absence due to left knee soreness has become a recurring theme that extends well beyond simple injury management to encompass questions about his overall commitment, durability, and fit within the Lakers' organizational culture. Ayton left Thursday's game against Denver after playing just 4 minutes and posting a -13 rating, which represents the kind of negative impact that's difficult to overcome regardless of talent level or potential. The Lakers' ability to perform effectively without Ayton raises uncomfortable questions about his actual value to the team's success, particularly when Hayes consistently provides more energy, effort, and positive impact despite possessing inferior talent on paper. Championship teams require players who understand and embrace their roles, rather than constantly questioning their usage or importance within the overall system. Ayton's pattern of availability issues and inconsistent effort has created a situation where the Lakers may be better served by moving in a different direction at the center position, even though such a decision would represent a significant financial loss. Sometimes the most difficult decisions in professional sports involve admitting that expensive acquisitions haven't worked out as planned and making necessary adjustments to improve team chemistry and performance. JJ Redick's coaching decisions continue to generate extensive discussion among fans and analysts, particularly regarding rotation management, young player development, and the balance between winning immediately versus building for sustained success. His tactical improvements throughout the season have been noticeable, with defensive schemes becoming more sophisticated and offensive sets creating better scoring opportunities for the team's primary weapons. Redick's willingness to experiment with different rotation combinations and matchup solutions demonstrates a coaching mindset that prioritizes finding optimal solutions rather than simply adhering to comfortable patterns or conventional wisdom. His decision-making regarding timeout usage, substitution patterns, and defensive adjustments has shown consistent improvement as he's gained experience managing game situations and player personalities. The defensive schemes implemented by Redick have shown particular improvement, with the team becoming more disciplined about rotations, communication, and helping responsibilities as the season has progressed. The Lakers' ability to limit high-quality scoring opportunities has improved significantly from their early season struggles. Though consistency against elite offensive teams remains an ongoing challenge that requires continued attention, the balance between winning now and developing for the future represents perhaps Redick's most challenging responsibility as a first-year head coach with championship expectations. Every decision carries implications not just for individual games, but for the franchise's long-term trajectory, creating enormous pressure to find solutions that serve both immediate competitive needs and future organizational goals. The continued absence of meaningful playing time for Adu Thiero has evolved into a legitimate source of growing frustration among Lakers fans who are eagerly anticipating the opportunity to evaluate what the young forward might contribute to this rotation. Thiero possesses exactly the kind of size, athleticism, and defensive potential that this team desperately needs to address some of its most glaring weaknesses, but he's been unable to earn consistent opportunities to demonstrate his capabilities at the NBA level. The lack of organizational clarity regarding Thiero's development plan has created significant uncertainty about whether the Lakers view him as a legitimate part of their immediate future or simply a long-term developmental project without current relevance. This uncertainty becomes particularly problematic when considering that the Lakers will likely need to rely heavily on young, affordable players next season, due to salary cap constraints and roster construction challenges. If Thiero is expected to contribute meaningfully during the 2026-27 season, providing him with valuable NBA experience now would seem to benefit both his individual development and the team's ability to accurately evaluate his readiness for expanded responsibilities. The frustration surrounding his situation reflects broader concerns about the organization's approach to player development and long-term planning. Drew Timme received limited minutes during garbage time, but his continued presence on the roster represents an intriguing option for a team that desperately needs additional front-court depth and basketball intelligence. Timme's college production, basketball IQ, and understanding of how to impact winning suggest he could provide valuable contributions if given consistent opportunities to demonstrate his capabilities. The challenge for Timme becomes finding meaningful minutes in a rotation that's already crowded with players fighting for playoff positioning and individual recognition. His skill set seems particularly well suited for the kind of intelligent, team-oriented basketball that championship teams require, but earning those opportunities requires either injuries to other players or strategic decisions by the coaching staff to prioritize his specific talents. Thinking about it, the Lakers' approach to developing players like Thiero and Timme reflects fundamental questions about how teams should balance immediate competitive needs against future organizational requirements. With LeBron James potentially entering the final years of his career, every game carries added significance in terms of maximizing championship opportunities. But failing to develop young talent could leave the organization poorly positioned for sustained success. The Lakers face significant roster construction challenges heading into what promises to be a crucial offseason, with multiple starting positions potentially requiring attention due to salary cap limitations and player contract situations. The team will likely need to make difficult decisions about which current players represent long-term solutions versus short-term contributors who may need to be replaced. Financial constraints will severely limit the Lakers' ability to make major additions through free agency, placing increased importance on player development, creative trade opportunities, and finding unexpected value in overlooked players. The success stories of players like Austin Reeves and Luke Kennard demonstrate that impactful contributors can emerge from non-traditional sources, but identifying and developing such players requires exceptional organizational competence and strategic vision. I believe the Lakers' offseason success will depend largely on their ability to accurately assess which current players represent genuine long-term solutions versus temporary contributors who may not fit the team's ultimate championship aspirations. Making incorrect decisions about player retention could significantly impact the team's competitiveness during what may be the final productive years of LeBron James's historic career. The upcoming test against the New York Knicks on Sunday represents an opportunity to build positive momentum heading into the final stretch of the regular season. But it also provides another legitimate measuring stick for evaluating how this team performs against quality opposition with legitimate playoff aspirations. The Knicks possess exactly the kind of defensive intensity, physical play, and organizational competence that has given the Lakers problems throughout this season. New York's approach to basketball embodies many of the qualities that the Lakers have struggled to consistently demonstrate: defensive communication, physical toughness, role acceptance, and collective commitment to winning rather than individual statistical achievement. Sunday's matchup will provide valuable insight into whether the Lakers have made meaningful progress in addressing these cultural and tactical challenges. LeBron James's expected return creates additional intrigue around rotation decisions and chemistry development, particularly after watching how effectively the team functioned, with Luka Doncic serving as the primary offensive focal point for an entire game. Integrating multiple superstars requires careful management of touches, decision-making responsibilities, and ego considerations that can either enhance team performance or create unnecessary complications. The challenge becomes determining how to maximize the talents of both James and Doncic while ensuring that role players remain engaged and confident in their specific contributions. Championship teams typically feature clear hierarchies and role definitions that allow everyone to contribute meaningfully without stepping on each other's responsibilities or creating confusion about decision-making authority. Maxi Kleber's absence due to lumbar back strain adds another concerning layer to the Lakers' front court depth issues, particularly with DeAndre Aton already sidelined and questions surrounding the center rotation remaining unresolved. The team's ability to maintain competitive performance despite these injury issues demonstrates encouraging roster depth, but it also highlights how quickly circumstances can change in terms of available personnel. The Lakers' injury management approach will become increasingly important as the season progresses toward the playoffs, where depth and health often determine the difference between championship contention and early elimination. The organization's medical staff and conditioning programs will face scrutiny if injury issues continue to affect key players during crucial moments of the season. The Lakers' success in extending their lead during the fourth quarter without Luka Doncic on the court represents perhaps the most encouraging development from an otherwise routine victory against inferior competition. Too often this season, Los Angeles has struggled to maintain advantages when their best players take scheduled rest periods, making Friday's performance a genuinely positive indicator heading into more challenging contests. This kind of collective responsibility and depth of production becomes absolutely crucial during playoff basketball.